Hi, and welcome to Seeking Change, the weekly insight. Today, what I'd like to talk about is keeping your connections with people around you. I was doing some work this week with a couple of people, trying to understand why they weren't necessarily good at keeping relationships. Individually, not together. But the same topic was coming up in both ways that I was working, and they had a history of not necessarily keeping relationships going. They could keep them going for 6, 8, 10 months, a year maybe, and then they would find they would break down. When you're in a relationship, there's always a period when you're getting to know each other and getting to understand each other. And whether that's a friendship or whether that's an intimate relationship, it's basically the same in some senses. We come together initially with some kind of joint purpose, joint goal, joint interest, if it's a friendship, maybe. So we come together under that process, and then we find that we have more in common, and we possibly grow closer and closer until maybe it gets to be an intimate relationship. So these people that I was working with was trying to understand why the relationships broke down, and we kind of looked at individually the time frames that we were talking about and kind of what point the relationship broke down. And with both of them separately, I found that there was some consistency with that. There was some anniversary process with that. So every 8 months or every year, or when it got to a point where they were looking to move in with each other, there was various things that were repetitive patterns in that process of breaking down the relationship. And once they'd broken down, then they kind of just moved away. They just kind of distanced themselves, not so they didn't get hurt emotionally. And so we were looking at how they could then, in future relationships, not the ones that they'd lost, but in future relationships we could make a difference. So we looked at how it could change and what difference they could build into the relationship at that point when it starts going stale or it starts going downhill. And we then looked at the things that they could themselves make happen and be aware of. So when we were sort of like keeping the connections going, we were looking at, okay, we need to spend more time and energy trying to make things livelier, more important, try and share more time together. Various times when I reconnect couples predominantly, and they'll say, well, you know, it's a busy world, we're both working full time and we don't have much time to spend together. And I said, well, okay, yeah, I get that, I understand that. That's the way the world works nowadays, unfortunately. But I said, but you can get 2 hours to spend together every week. And they look at me and they're kind of puzzled expression. I said, well, you know, we meet for about an hour and a quarter every week, or you have done up to now. And it probably takes you 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get to me and 20, 25 minutes to get back. So we're actually taking 2 hours out of your week, and you make that happen. You make your diaries change in order to be here. So if you can make it for this session, then pretty much you can organise it so you can have time together. And they sometimes look amazed at that, and obviously the reality is it's true, and they say, well, yeah, actually we can. So I said, well, why don't you do that then? Why don't you remake those connections? Why don't you spend time together? And invariably it comes out, certainly if they've got children, that the children are more important than the relationship. So when time we have spare, we spend with the kids. We spend doing things with the kids. So then I said to them, well, okay, yeah, I get that. Kids are important. Absolutely not a problem with that at all. But are they more important than you two? And that gets them thinking. In my world, when I'm working certainly with couples, I say to them, actually children are as important, not more or less, as important as the couple relationship. And equally, the relationship needs to spend time together for it to be a relationship. You need to be individuals, not mum and dad. You need to get rid of all those roles and titles that you have, the other ones, for a couple of hours a week, a couple of hours a month, if you can't do anything better than that. And to spend time, because time is obviously what makes the relationship. And I had a few months ago now, who said, well, the kids won't like that because the kids are used to us spending time with the kids. They're not used to us going out alone. And these people had not been out for a year. They used to go out once on their anniversary for a meal. That was it. The whole way through the year. One anniversary dinner. And their children were kind of teenagers. So one anniversary a year. And so that was all they did. And their children were teenager kind of age. And so I said, okay then. So do you trust what your kids will say to you? Do you trust what they say is being honest? And they said, oh yeah, we trust the kids. I said, okay then, try something out. Go back to your kids this week, tomorrow, whenever, and say to them, actually, we've been thinking about our relationship, and we realise we're not necessarily getting on well at the moment, and we're wondering whether or not it's because we don't spend much time together. So I just want to ask you a question. Would you be happy if, by spending time together, we had a better relationship, or would you be unhappy if we did that? And when they came back, the next time I saw them, I said, how did it go? What happened? And they said, the kids give them a resounding, yeah, please spend more time together. We want you to be happy, because if you're happy, we're happy. It has a knock-on effect. So that kind of flabbergasted them a bit, but they kind of started to spend time together and enjoyed it and had fun and rekindled the relationship, rekindled the connection in the relationships. And then the whole family started to enjoy life more. So don't assume people would be upset if you spent time together. Ask the question. You'd be surprised at the answer. And when you start spending time together and having fun, then you start having a relationship as individuals. The thing that brought you together in the first place. The reason why you came together in the first place. Before the families and before the relationship changed. So we need to get back to that. Move it forward into a new relationship. And on the site you'll find something in the ebook called Surprise Jars. And that gives you a way of actually spending time together where neither partner is responsible and each partner gets a treat because they're worth it. And if you use that tool that you'll find on the website, that has never let me down in over 15 years of working with couples and families as well. And they usually find that actually it cements the relationship and makes it much more a happier place to be in. Remake your connections. Don't go on assumptions and perceptions. Go on reality. Ask the questions. See if people want to be reconnected. Most people do. Most people don't want to be on the run. Most people want to be with somebody who they care for. And the most of all, when you're having that reconnection, have fun, enjoy it, laugh, immerse yourself in whatever you're doing. Do not talk about your issues and your problems. Talk about the fun, the laugh, the experience. And then you'll start the road back. Take care. See you later.